Here's a question that I'm genuinely curious to know the answer to. What do you think about when you enter the movie theater to see a movie for the first time? What's going through your head? Are you thinking about the trailer? Are you thinking about how much you're going to like this movie, how much you're going to hate this movie based on what you've seen so far? Are you thinking about theories, speculation, what you think is going to happen? What are you thinking about when you walk into the theater to watch a movie for the first time? I'm not out here saying that the way you fundamentally watch movies is incorrect. That's not the point of this video. Rather, I want to point to a couple mindsets that people have as they go in to watch movies and explain why that might actually be detrimental to the movie-going experience for yourself on a personal level. So let me start out with a small anecdote. When I heard that Disney was making Toy Story 4, I was furious. Admittedly, I was incensed. What right did Disney and Pixar, once one of the most highly reputable, top-tier animation studios making films like Finding Nemo, Toy Story, Up, Ratatouille, what did they have any business doing making a fourth Toy Story film? A fourth film in a franchise that had just been so successfully and beautifully closed out with Toy Story 3. Why are you making a fourth one? And then on top of all of that, they were going to make it some sort of romantic comedy, is what they said at the time. And then the first teaser came out with Forky and all the toys sort of getting scrambled up in a mess as the camera panned around all of them. And I thought, this is going to be a disaster. Now, if you felt similarly to me, I believe that we were entitled to those opinions. Because based on how we felt, and based on what we thought, we had every right to believe in what we believed. That Toy Story 4 had no right to exist, and that there was no creative vision or creative necessity to make a film like that. But we don't work at Pixar, do we? And so Pixar made Toy Story 4. And so when July of 2019 came around, I thought, I'm going to watch Toy Story 4 because I love movies and it is a Pixar film. And now before I get any further, I want you to just pause and think about where we are at this story. If you were in the same position as I was, had the same thoughts and opinions about a Toy Story 4 before you went in to see the film, as you walked into the theater, got your popcorn, got your drinks, walked into your seat, what would you be thinking? Though I can't substantiate this with statistics, of course, just based on personal experience and what I've heard, I feel like the majority of people would be sitting down in this chair going, all right, here we are, I'm watching Toy Story 4, but I'm gonna hate it. There's a problem with that. There is a huge problem with that. I want to discuss in today's video 2 steps and stages in the movie-going experience that I think are being misconstrued by many people in the film fan community. We've already briefly touched upon one of those, which is the before part of the movie-going experience, and then I'll touch upon the after as well. But let's talk about the before. So, movie trailers have a big impact on how we feel about a movie. Speculation, theories, rumors, castings, they all play a part into how we think a movie is going to be. I mean, none of us could have imagined that an Ant-Man film before it came out would have been as good as it was, right? But it was successful. So we have our own preconceived notions, and that's totally fine. That's not the part of this video that I'm trying to criticize. However, consciously or subconsciously, we often decide to take that baggage into the theater with us. And I think that's what's dangerous. Because look, those of you who watch my videos are generally of the mind of a more critical, analytical type when you're watching movies. I mean, of course, there is the general audience who just wants to watch a movie for general enjoyment. That's totally great. But I assume that for most of us, we like to look at movies a little bit more critically. And while that's great, I also think that there is something to be said about the way that the general audience looks at a movie. The general movie-going audience, which we are also still a part of, by the way, goes to the movies, pays $10 to $15, and wants to enjoy the movie. They paid for a product, and they want to get the most out of it. Isn't that natural? So when we go into movies that we think are going to be bad, and we think we're going to hate them, why do we carry that baggage with us into the film? When all we're trying to do is just enjoy the movie. That's what movies are. I mean, yes, they try to get us to think sometimes, they try to get us to laugh, to cry, but they're just supposed to entertain us. We're supposed to enjoy the movies. So my first big question is, why would you go into a film wanting to hate it, when in actuality, if you had just gone in and left your expectations at the door, you would have loved it? Because I guarantee you that there are instances in your life where you've gone into a film wanting to hate it so badly, and everyone around you said they loved it, and you secretly, deep down, you enjoyed it as well, but you had to stick with your convictions, and you had to say, no, I still hated it. Why? Because I went into Toy Story 4 with all those preconceived notions and baggage, and I left it at the door. I said, I'm going to enjoy this film for what it is and what it is going to be. And if I hate it, I hate it. So be it. But I ended up loving it. And afterwards, I told all of my friends, the same friends who I had told beforehand that I think Toy Story 4 is a ridiculous, terrible idea. And I told them, straight up, I loved the film. I thought it was amazing. There is no shame in doing that. Because at the end of the day, like I said, these movies are made for your enjoyment. And why are you robbing yourself of enjoyment? It's a simple question, but it's one that I think we have to ask ourselves. Now, of course, there is the flip side to that argument. Take an Avengers Endgame. I think we were all ridiculously excited for the film. And for the most part, for most of us, it paid off. But let's say it had been just purely disappointing. What would we have felt then? See, it's a little different in this case because, yes, movies are made for our enjoyment, so we want to get as much enjoyment out of it as possible. So it's a little different in looking at a film that we didn't enjoy but wanted to versus at a film that we did enjoy but didn't want to. Take Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. People went to that film over and over and over and over again, trying their best to like the film, even though deep down they knew they didn't. Now, I'm not disparaging anyone who really tries their absolute hardest to like a film. That's great, and honestly, I think there is less detrimental value into forcing yourself to like something than forcing yourself to dislike something. But I also think there is something to be said about lying to yourself about how you really feel. If you just want to force yourself into a reality where you like something, that's fine, because at least you got something out of it. But also ask yourself, what am I getting out of forcing myself to like this? Can I admit to myself that I really didn't? Because that's also fine. If you didn't like Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace after watching it in theaters, while everyone else was crazy about it, that's fine. And that leads me to my second point, which is the after. What is the mindset of a fan after you watch a film? So let's look at the Star Wars sequel trilogy, which I know nobody wants to anymore, but bear with me. Star Wars The Last Jedi comes out, and amongst fans, it is divisive. Half the fans seem to love it, and half the fans seem to hate it. That's totally fine. What isn't fine, though, is these Star Wars fans, who we are allegedly all part of the same team, trying to convince each other of why their opinions are wrong. Think about that for a second. Think about how fundamentally flawed that is. That statement of your opinion is wrong and my opinion is right, and I'm going to disparage you as a person because you believe in something that I don't. Movies are art. Movies are subjective because there is no quantitative way to measure how much a person should enjoy a film. There is no Richter scale or Mohs hardness scale or pH scale that determines how funny a joke is. It just is or it isn't to you. And if it isn't, that's fine. And if it is to someone else, that's also fine. Who are we to say that somebody else's opinion about something is fundamentally wrong or flawed? As long as it is not rooted in hate or immorality. For example, if somebody were to hate Black Panther simply for the fact that it had black actors in it, that is completely different. Yes, it is their opinion that they hate Black Panther, but the reasoning behind it is fundamentally flawed, and we could go into that all day, but at the end of the day, I think you guys know what I'm saying. But if someone didn't like Black Panther, even though a ton of people did, and a ton of people thought it was a cultural phenomenon, if somebody didn't like Black Panther simply because, well, I didn't like the story, or I didn't like the action, or I didn't like Chadwick Boseman's performance, rest in peace Chadwick Boseman, then that's fine. That's what they thought about the film, and if you like Black Panther, then don't try to convince them that they're wrong. Now, I'm not saying don't have debates about things, of course not, because I think debates and arguments and fun banter, that's what being part of a film community is about. Having different opinions. But it's not about explaining why you think someone is wrong, or even necessarily why you think you're right. It's rather just trying to explain to somebody why you believe the things that you do, and pointing out to the person what makes you think the way that you do. And in that case, you might be able to convince people of your viewpoint because you're pointing out certain things that they might not even have thought of before. So listen, I know that we are all more critical and analytical of films because a lot of people who are watching my videos are people who see movies a little bit more deeply than the average person, and that's fine. But don't, A, rob yourself of joy when you otherwise could have enjoyed a perfectly wonderful and lovely film just because you want to be stubborn and hold on to your preconceived notions, and B, don't take away that joy from anyone else. The divide and the hate and the animosity that exists, for example, right now in the Star Wars community is in large part because people are not doing these two things. They are going into these movies expecting to hate them, and they are coming out of these movies ready to defend why they hate them and why other people are wrong for liking them. So those were just my quick thoughts on what I think about the movie-going experience and what I think should change. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're at it, make sure to subscribe and give this video a like. That would really mean a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for your support. And if you want to check out some more videos, check out the videos on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.